you do need to know, folks, and that's why you're listening to the Gazette Radio Hour with Doug and John. You like that segue,
I did.
John?
That was good.
All
right.
right. Because you're listening to Santa Cruz hometown station, AM-1220 KHTS. As I said, this is the Gazette Radio Hour, Doug and John. It's a Radio Digest version of the Santa Cruz Gazette.
Now, Doug, we have a special guest because I know you're down about the Dodgers, and we've been trying to cheer you up all show. I have one of your favorite people on. Congressman Steve Knight is on the phone.
He's on?
Congressman Knight, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, good. All right, so we're trying to relieve Doug from his Dodger hangover. He's kind of in a funk today, and I figured you might be able to do it because he loves talking politics with you.
Well, I'll talk baseball too.
Oh, there we go.
Congressman, I'm sure you have all kinds of good news to cheer us up, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Like just covering third base would be a good thing.
Oh, you're not supposed to go there.
I know. I know. I'm sorry.
Did you partake in any of those silly bets with people from New York?
No, I did not.
Oh,
did not.
That's good because
I'm a Red Sox fan, so I'm
wait a minute.
Here anyway.
How did that happen? You grew up in this area.
Yeah, I did, but when my dad went to Vietnam, we lived with my mother's family in Vermont.
Oh.
And if you're in the Northeast at all, you got to be indoctrinated. So.
Yeah. So pretty soon you'll be a Redskins fan.
Yeah, I like teams that have a chance of winning.
Oh
wow. Okay.
Interview over.
Yeah. I want to see who Doug's going to bring in to cheer me up now. Because I grew up in that area, so I'm very familiar with Baltimore, Washington, D.C. Head out to Annapolis on a Sunday in the fall. Maybe catch a game at the Naval Academy. Oh, yeah. That's the way to do it.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
So, Congressman.
My other brother lives in Baltimore, so I catch some stuff out there.
Camden Yards?
Yeah, he's a big Orioles fan, so he's got problems.
Have him buy you a bushel of crabs and sit around and watch an Orioles game, okay?
That's right.
Congressman, you're heading back next week, right? Or Sunday anyway? Or Sunday or Monday?
Yeah. So, and I'm sorry you're on the car phone, but I'm driving around. This mud issue out here is a big deal.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Can you give us an update on that?
Yeah. So we put some stuff on our website, but it's pretty bad in the Yellow Valley. I mean, the main street behind my house is about 4 inches under mud for about 300 yards.
Wow.
And that's kind of a common thing out there right now. So it's going to be a lot of cleanup. We want God to rain on us, but not just all in one time.
Right,
so
and all in one place.
Spread it out a little bit.
Yeah.
And all in one place. Good God. But, we'll get through it.
Yeah.
Speaking of getting through it, are we going to have a new Speaker of the House next week?
Yeah, interesting. About 3 days ago, I was talking to my brother, and I told him there's no way in heck that Paul Ryan would be our Speaker. But now, don't know. A couple things are coming out that he's considering it, and so I don't know. I think if he jumped into the race, it would really make this thing a lot quicker. If he doesn't, then we'll start to see some of the chairmen from big committees putting their name in the ring.
Yeah. It's
Doug, it's just like being a class president in your high school class. You got to get the votes.
I was going to say, how come nobody seems to want it?
Well, I wouldn't want it. As soon as you're in there, you got to do things that are just horrible, and you can't make everybody happy, and you're always in the news, and just my small part in what we do in Congress. I got enough people that don't like me, so
that's pretty good. So
I
guess we can officially break the news that Congressman Steve Knight's removing his name from consideration for Speaker of the House.
That's right.
Okay, good. We'll officially announce that. That's pretty good.
I have a question, Congressman. Sorry, Freudian slip. You would be my favorite to have the job. Is it a distraction for you guys doing your regular work when all this is going on?
Not so much. Speaker Boehner I am sure he will stay there until we get a new speaker. Obviously, we're not going to leave it open. But everybody is wired into, making sure we get the budget completed, making sure we get something done with the raising the debt limit or not raising it, in my case. And, all of us are working on our legislation, so it's a distraction, but you got 435 people going in 435 directions.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. It's like trying to wrangle cats.
Yeah, we'll get it done.
Yeah. All right. So let's go to one of Doug's favorite topics, the debt ceiling. Now, I know you're against raising it, and I agree. But how far? I mean, are you willing to stand on that line? I mean, it doesn't seem like the Republicans are willing to stand on the line of government shutdown.
Yeah, I made a lot of speeches in the last few days, and this has been the subject of the topic. But you gotta be able to say something is big enough that you would shut down government. I've always said, shut down government's not a good idea, but and you guys probably know, but I can't tell you how many times we've raised the debt limit since President Reagan got in, but it's over 100 times. Yeah. And it's not a Republican thing. It's not a Democrat thing. Each one of those presidents have done it ever since. So we got to stop it at some point. You got to stop digging at some point and make people understand that we have to have a balanced budget that works on knocking down the deficit, or our children are going to have a much, much different country, and I'm just not willing to do that.
It's a tough call, because shutting down the government is one of those things that people hear and they panic.
Yeah, and understand that parts of government that shut down I don't think would bother anybody. Yeah. There are a lot of parts of government that you don't want shut down. You want to make sure that we have a Coast Guard, that we have Border Patrol, and things of that nature, and you also want to make sure that people who are living on Social Security, that are living from dollar to dollar, will get those checks. So.
But Congressman, doesn't all that stay in place? I mean, what I've read and researched is 85% of the government still functions. Do you concur with that?
Yeah. So I've been in there 9 months, and we did a lot of research on this because I do read social media, but I try not to. But the big deal was, hey, why not just shut down government? 81% is still going to go. Well, that's true, but also the administration has discretion over shutting down certain parts. And so if the administration wanted to go in there and say, all right, well, Border Patrol is now going to be one of these discretionary things that we're going to shut down. They do have that ability. And I'm just afraid that it would turn into a political mess, and the Democrat president would say the Republicans are shutting down government, there's nothing I can do, and, that would be bad.
Yeah, it seems like what the Republicans should really do is probably educate people about how bad debt is well in advance of the debt ceiling vote, so that there's a groundswell of, hey, let's do what's right.
But John, the candidates, have you heard the debt talked about in any of the debates?
No.
I haven't heard it discussed.
No, it's true. It hasn't been talked about. I spoke to a couple schools yesterday, and I always use this stat. I say, how much is the debt? They all get it pretty close. And I'd say, well, how much is a trillion? And nobody really knows. Well, here's a trillion. You can use this in your bar games. 1 million seconds was 12 days ago. A trillion seconds was 31,688 years ago.
Wow. Wow.
So,
yeah,
multiply that by 18.5, and you get our debt of about 560,000 years ago if a dollar was a second.
Was a second.
It's pretty doggone big.
And okay, now having understood this for a while and lived through a couple of the stuff, I know that some debt is good, and obviously you're not going to have a complete debt-free economy. That's not realistic. But controlled use of debt, just like everybody else, using a credit card for a good reason and paying it off and being responsible, seems to be what everybody's missing in this whole equation. Everybody's got their projects. And I agree. It's frustrating.
Go ahead.
It's frustrating. It's. I mean, what was the stat that I heard the other day? 60% of Republicans feel betrayed by the Congress that got voted in.
I've seen that stat. It's true. Some debt is good. If you go out and buy a car that you can afford, so that you can get to work, obviously that's good debt.
Right.
If you buy 600,000 Ferraris instead of the car that you can afford, that's probably not good debt. We have to be in a place at some point in our generation. I'm talking about you two and mine, not my kids.
Right.
Where we can make a payment onto our debt. Now, we're not going to pay it off, but if one of us had a $100,000 credit card bill, we probably wouldn't be able to pay that off in a short time. But the credit card company at some point would want to say, hey, I at least need to see a payment.
Exactly.
And the countries that are loaning us money, it behooves them to loan us money. They're making money on it.
Yeah.
So, but it doesn't help our country to do that. It doesn't help our country to do that for generation upon generation.
Right.
I think the thing that drives me nuts is you hear sound bites from back in 08 or 09 when Obama was campaigning, and he absolutely ripped George Bush for the amount of debt he had accumulated. Said it was un-American, unpatriotic, and look what he's done. I mean, that just drives me nuts.
Well, yeah, and both sides have been guilty. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I'm a Republican, but I'm not going to stand here and say, golly, the Republicans have done everything great on the debt. There's enough blame to go around, but we absolutely need enough people to stand up and say, that's enough. I need a balanced budget. I need a budget on time.
Right.
You need to work a little bit more like a city works.
Yeah, exactly.
And balance that budget and get us to a clean deficit where we're square and we have maybe a surplus that we can make payments on our debt. It sounds simple.
Yeah.
Because what's the projected deficit going to be for this year's budget, or the one that you're looking at now?
Well, right now we're at an $18.1 trillion debt ceiling, and they want to raise that. Obviously, if we raise that every year, we are jumping in the $400 to $500 billion range. And that, you do that a couple times and it turns into a lot of money.
Yeah.
So we got to get to a point where we can say, and this probably should have happened about 15 or 20 years ago. And okay, if we're going to raise the debt limit, we have to raise it in such a way that at some point we don't have to raise it anymore.
Right.
Can you do it in conjunction with cuts?
Well, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, government is too big right now. We're spending, I think the last thing I saw was about $480 billion more this year than we're bringing in. And that's a recipe for no good.
Yeah. Everybody, we're talking to, I'm sorry, interrupt you. We're talking to Congressman Steve Knight. We're on the Gazette Radio Hour on AM-1220 KHTS.
All right. So Congressman Knight, here's my problem with all this is I concur with you entirely. But you and I agreeing doesn't really matter that much, does it? I mean, is it kind of a leadership thing? Is it a give and take thing? It's kind of frustrating when somebody understands it on the outside. They look at it and they go, "Oh, but guys, it's so simple. Fix it." And partisan politics maybe gets involved. I don't even know, but it never gets fixed.
Well, it's absolutely partisan politics on both sides a little bit. Look, if I want to go in and say we're spending too much money and I got to cut government, I could go in and find a ton of money to cut out. But, somebody else is going to say, hey, well, that's my deal.
Yeah.
That's what I like. So I think that everybody gets confused about a compromise and a working toward fixing the problem. If they came forward and said, hey, we got to raise the debt ceiling, but here's the deal. It's going to work its way down with our plan over the next 3 cycles that we won't have to do this, and we'll be on a path where we won't raise the debt ceiling, we'll be knock down the deficit and all that. Yeah. At least give me a plan. But absent a plan, you're just giving me something that is just terrible.
Right.
It's terrible.
Yeah. And
so
it all ties into the economy because here's the catch-22. If we had a robust economy, it would help with revenue, which would help decrease the budget and the deficit. And I mean, it's just snowballs. But you can't do that because we have this deficit.
Well, that's the truth, and if you're making more money, your debt is, I'm not going to say it's smaller, but it's easier to manage.
Right.
It's easier to pay down. That's why you want a robust economy, so you can do those things. But ever since this recession has started, and I'm one of the ones who still believe we are in a portion of it. It's just been difficult, and we do need a plan, but absent a plan from leadership, I am voting not to raise the debt ceiling, and we'll
deal with the consequences. All right, I appreciate that. That's actually pretty good.
I'm absolutely okay with giving them a plan too.
Yeah.
Because I don't like just sitting here and saying, hey, I don't have an idea, but,
I don't like yours.
We've given plenty of ideas of where to cut,
right.
what to do, and even going in and talking about how we spend money. About 70% is mandatory spending, and that can be talked about. We can discuss that, but got to be some changes here, gentlemen.
Congressman, what else is coming up on the calendar in the upcoming weeks besides the stuff that's really staring us in the face? Anything on your mind?
Yeah, so you've done a good job. You've hit the big items. Obviously, when we go back on Tuesday, it'll start the whole deal with the speaker. We want to get that behind us, and we want to start moving. We want to then start working on a plan so we don't, on December 10th, say, hey, government could shut down tomorrow. So we want to start a plan through the budget process, getting the appropriations bills done, getting them over to the Senate, and having a real budget that can be passed. I would love to pass it in November and just say, hey, we did it before time.
Yeah, let's move along.
But it seems like Congress is a 17-year-old boy in high school with a term paper, and they're not going to do it till the day before. So
you're on to me.
I have a 17-year-old boy at home, so
I kind of do the same thing, so it doesn't really. I'm taking that kind of personally. Okay, so let me ask you. Let's ask it this way: do you have a pet project?
Well, it's funny. Today we were meeting with a whole bunch of groups about Bouquet Canyon, and this has been one of my deals outside of CMEX was to get everybody involved in the Bouquet Canyon issue. And just a real quick, washout. Supervisor Antonovich would get some money, they'd fix the road. Then all of a sudden they found a fish about 14 months ago or so.
Oh, no.
Now everybody's involved, and anytime you find a fish, there's a bad thing. And so,
or a frog.
Or a frog. We had a deal today with the Fish and Wildlife, with the Forestry, with the Corps of Engineers, Supervisor Antonovich, Assemblyman Wilk, Assemblyman Lackey, Senator Runner, and myself, and the city of Santa Clarita to sit down and look at each other and just say, hey, we're going to fix this thing. We're not leaving this room. So, unfortunately, we had the mudslides last night, and we put it off for about 10 days. But that project I want done and done by this year. It's ridiculous. It's there. We can fix it. If you want your fish, capture it. You can take it. We don't care. If you want to put it back someday, that's fine.
We probably couldn't afford to build
environmentalists won't like that concept.
Yeah, I know. That's.
I had it out with Fish and Wildlife. I said, this isn't even a purebred stickleback. It's a hybrid. And they go, well, it's a hybrid. We got to capture it so we can put the purebred back in. And I said, so what are you going to do with the hybrid? And they go, what do you mean? And I go, are you going to kill it? And they said, we don't know what we're going to do with that. And I said, well, if you're going to kill it, just do it now so we can fix the road and be done with it.
And then you can reintroduce the original.
All right, everybody.
Yeah, then you can do whatever.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't even know what eats that fish. If something doesn't eat you.
Where does it fit in the food chain? That's the problem.
That's right.
All right, everybody. Congressman Steve Knight, appreciate you coming on with us.
Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you, as always.
All right.
Look forward to doing it again
soon, please.
Okay.
All right, take care. Doug, that was actually pretty fun. Now, do you feel better?
I do.
Okay, see?
Yeah.
Somebody understands. We got some pretty good confirmation that, at least somebody's standing up for what you think is right.
I have to tell you, based on the conversation I had with the congressman 2 or 3 weeks ago, I am a little surprised. I'm glad, I'm happy, that it sounds like he's going to stand firm on the debt ceiling.
There's always compromise. There's always, okay, well, fine, if I do this because you're going to do that, and that's a fair trade. And I think people need to look not just at the voting record, but why you vote the way you vote. And what do you get in exchange for that? If I'm wishy-washy on one thing and I go, okay, fine, you can have my vote, but in exchange for that I get 4 votes on something that I think is legitimate, that's the way Congress unfortunately works.
Yes.
And that's what, there's some things, you're going to love this one. I actually watched some of the Democratic debate.
I know.
We haven't touched on it. And I don't disagree with some of that stuff.
Well, yeah.
I mean, do I think Wall Street has too big of a role in Congress? Who doesn't?
Yeah.
Do I think there's some issues with income disparity? Yeah, there is.
Yeah, but the matter is, how do you fix it?
How you fix it? I don't know whether it's just a redistribution of the wealth. I think there's issues with that. But
and how do you pay for all the stuff those guys are talking about?
Santa Claus?
Exactly. and we're sitting here talking about deficit and debt.
I have a hard time raising the tax on the rich, quite honestly, because
I don't.
Unless they stole their money somehow, why do we have to take it back from them? See, now you feel happier.
Well, yeah, because I was distracted from my sorrows.
Yeah, see, the Dodgers are no longer going to be a problem for you.
Well, it's a grieving process, right? You go through shock, anger, and acceptance.
Was this denial now?
Denial is a little bit. I'm acceptance now.
Denial is the river in Egypt. No, it's not that bad, Doug.
Yeah,
you could be an Orioles fan and a Redskins fan. You always had hockey, too.
You know, what gets me is why do we get so worked up over sports? And I can see how you get worked up over the deficit because that could really affect us in our
Doug, we're not getting into that.
But
we're going to say goodbye. We're going to say goodbye
game.
Before it starts. All right, we're going to say goodbye. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Gazette Radio with Doug and John on AM-1220 KHTS, Santa Clarita's hometown station. We're back in 2 weeks.
See ya.